Step in the ring, feel the adrenaline rush, throwing fists and kicks, the pain we can't hush. And then they fight us, we're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers, we aim for the skies. Into the octagon, like a warrior I stand, slaying blows, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with my golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with my golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. Not too many left at the end of this year, D Rose, coming down to the end. But glad you guys could stop by here, chat, listen to us talk about some MMA fights, recap UFC Macau, at least what we can remember or what I even care to talk about, because that was 2 weeks ago and it was at 3 a.m. and I didn't watch all the fights. I'm going to be honest with y'all.
Nope.
Hope all of you guys had a happy Thanksgiving over the meantime. Let's get that out of the way, because there was a holiday in the meantime. Hopefully you guys got some Black Friday deals, some Cyber Monday deals and all that. But D Rose, how have you been over past couple weeks, brother? How was your Thanksgiving and such?
No, things have been great over here. And for me, typically, Thanksgiving is I don't know why, but I as I've gotten older, it's grown to become my favorite holiday a little bit more. So as far as cooking, we do, all the cooking and stuff like that. So everybody comes over here. So I ended up getting like a, just like a regular butterball turkey, deep fried that, it came out delicious. But we ended up getting turkey breasts from my work. So they gave it to us in a box. So we're thinking it's just going to be one whole turkey breast. So I take it out the pack. So it's two wrapped in foil. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, and they look like a pretty decent size. Dude, I unwrap the foil and it's like, whoa, boom. It's just like two big, just fucking tree trunks of turkey breasts just fall out of there. So, and I've already thawed them. So I'm like, I can't just let it sit here. I'm going to have to cook them now. So, dude, we've been eating so much turkey over the last couple of days, and we finally ended up getting rid of it about Monday night or so. Yeah, we were like, okay, we had to end up tapping out after a while. You only make so many sandwiches and do leftovers so many times, but yeah, I 100% love me some Thanksgiving and love being able to throw down.
Too much turkey titties for old D Rose. And if you don't know, my name is Matt, and D Rose is on that cyber screen. And this week, the D stands for December. So December Rose this week, first podcast of December. Let's get into the chat. It's been a long time. What's up, everyone? What's going on, Austin? Appreciate you stopping by here tonight. We got Daniel Aker in the room with the LFGs. The boys are back. Shout out, Daniel, for stopping by. I already saw it, dear. Tell me about Macau, because I still haven't had enough time to watch it. I feel you, Dave. I feel you. And then Alien Perez OnlyFans is on sale on Black Fridays. You degenerate, Dave. And we got Daz. You guys are hella cute. Shout out, Daz. We got Austin laughing at Dave. Tell D Rose you like his teeth. He likes that. So with that being said, D Rose, let's kick this show off. UFC Macau recap. That was Petr Yan versus Davidson Figueiredo 2 weeks ago. Petr Yan wins via decision. Co-main event was Yan Xiaonan versus Tabitha Ricci. Yan Xiaonan does win via decision. We had Song Kenan versus Muslim Salikov, and Song Kenan knocked out. Muslim Salikov knocked out Song Kenan in the first round. We had Wang the Joker Kong taking on Gabriela Fernandez. And that fight was wild, dude. This is one of the ones that I do remember, and I have a vivid picture of what happened in that fight. Wong Kong was tagging up Gabby Fernandez, backing her up against the fence, and she hurt her more than a few times, enough to where Wong Kong got overconfident, playing with her hands down, and then she got fucking head kicked. Gabby Fernandez head kicked her. Wong Kong face planted. That's when Gabby Fernandez jumped on her back, sunk in the rear naked choke. So shout out Gabby Fernandez for that second round rear naked choke. Busted everybody's parlays, including mine. But it is what it is. Carlos Ulberg does defeat Volkan Oezdemir in a boring-ass decision, as expected, to be honest, though. Zhang Mingyang knocks out Ozzy Diaz in the first round. And, I'm not going to try to say all these. The only other one that was a big deal from this fight was the doctor, Ming Shi, knocked out Zhao Confang with that head kick, dude. And then the news came out that her parents don't even know that she's a fighter. They just know that she's a doctor. So imagine seeing your child on TV like head kicking some poor girl, leaving her unconscious for like 5 minutes. Absolutely nuts. So that's my recap from UFC Macau. D-Rose, feel free to give me yours, dude.
Yeah. I mean, really, mostly just the takeaways from the top two fights for the most part. I'll kind of brush over just a little bit more, but just that I think Petr Yan, he is looking back into form, and I really thought that Figgy had a chance, and Figgy actually did drop Petr Yan. So man, if there's one thing that we know about David Figueiredo, that dude can crack. I mean, he has dropped two dudes who I've never seen Yan drop, and I've never seen Marlon Vera drop. And he has dropped both of them in his last two fights. So the power definitely carries. But dude, Jan's boxing is just so crisp, so clean. Good performance from him. He got taken down early on, but was still able to get back up and was able to weather the storm early in the fight, and then really just took over from the second round on. I thought Figgy did have moments, and I thought that Figgy actually won the fourth and fifth round for them to give Yan a clean sweep. I didn't think that was necessarily fair, but just because it was a clean sweep doesn't mean within the rounds the fight wasn't close. So it was a good fight. It was a close fight, but man, Petr Yan definitely separated himself from each round to really separate himself to potentially get a title shot. I really just wanted to ask you, just spinning off that. They're saying that maybe Petr Yan a rematch with Sean O'Malley. And I know that's your guy. What would you think about that fight?
I don't think UFC makes that fight. I just don't why. What's the point? There's a lot of other people that both fighters haven't fought. Let's match them up with fighters that they both haven't fought. I don't see the point in that.
Yeah.
Personally, and especially. Why make it 5 rounds if it's not for the title too? So I don't know, dude. Yeah, truly. I don't care for the fight, but it is what it is. Anything else on the?
And then the only thing I wanted to spin next, because I'm not going to talk about the rest of the card. I really just want to talk about the main event for the most part and just what's next. Marab's really trying to throw up Petr Yan, saying that he deserves a rematch and blah blah blah, and how Umar needs to do a little bit of work. I mean, asking me personally, I think Marab is trying to make Umar take the same path that Marab had to take. But okay, yes, Umar has a cousin that obviously was of high UFC claim. Okay, that's just is what it is. Is he a Nepo baby? You can say he's a Nepo baby, but he's a Nepo baby. Okay, but he's also a good fighter. and he did beat Corey Sandhagen in his last fight. But man, Merab is really resilient on making that fight happen. But do you think Peter Yan can maybe sneak in and get a title shot over
No, no shot, dude. Get out of here with that.
Hey, Merab's trying, man. I don't know if you saw the meme of him.
Merab fights Sean O'Malley again before Peter Yan gets a rematch, dude.
Oh man, that's yeah, because that I mean, I don't know. That Yan fight, it wasn't even close, so I don't even know why Merab would want to try to sell. I don't even know why he'd want to try to sell that, because he dominated that fight from the beginning to the end. So, but that's pretty much my recap from that.
Yeah, we did have, unfortunately, one of us got to eat the beans, and it looks like it's me, dude. We did have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 different fights, but obviously only 3 of them count. They were Quang Lee versus Long. I don't remember his first name. Alexander Hernandez versus Tumen Doombarel. I remember how to say that one because I said it 50 fucking times. Oh wait, no, that one didn't count. Just kidding. It was Quang Lee versus I believe it's Zhao Long. Muslim Salad Call versus Song Kanan, and Tabitha Ricci versus Yan Xiaonan. So in those 3, I went Quang Lee and you went Long, even though you don't remember who won there. You won that one, D-Rose. And then the second one was Salad.
That's all I remember. That's all I remember.
Second one was Muslim Salad Call versus Song Kanan, where Muslim Salad Call knocked out Song Kanan, dude. And then the last one was Tabitha Ricci versus Yan Xiaonan, where I went Tabitha Ricci and you went Yan Xiaonan. So unfortunately, I get beans. There ain't a lot of beans left in here, dude. Not too many left.
It means you've been getting the beats.
Man, God, it's buttered popcorn or rotten egg. I don't want either one of these, dude. God.
But it's not that bad though.
Rotten egg
popcorn
not
is not good. I'm not gonna lie. I actually don't think I've had the rotten egg. I'm not gonna lie.
I got a UPS bag here as my throw up bag, so hopefully it don't leak.
Well, at least it's pretty secure, right?
I think that one's butter popcorn. I'm not going to spit it out. I'm going to eat it because it's a good one. I'm going to, put that flavor all in there in case I get a bad one next.
Nah, that butter popcorn, I've had that one before, man. That one's not good.
Well, it's better than what I imagine rotten eggs going to taste like.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, D Rose, your D stands for D for December, not dickhead this week. Oh God, this one's a delight. It's either dead fish, strawberry banana smoothie, barf, or peach. I don't know. This don't be a bad one, dude. Let me have a nice Thanksgiving / Christmas treat and not eat a fucking bad bean, you know?
Dead fish. Dead. It's too early for Christmas.
All right.
Dead fish. Dead fish.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh, that's dead fish. That's the 100% dead fish.
I don't know what it was, but I don't like it.
I'm pretty sure.
Dude, I'm pretty sure it was barf because it tasted like I just threw up and I was like, oh, that's what I just ate. It just tastes like the same thing. Why can't I get lucky, D-Rose?
Damn. What do you mean? What do you mean lucky?
Dude, you've been clean swept multiple times and get 3 good beans. I don't want to hear it.
I've gotten plenty of bad ones. The last time out, I got a booger myself. So, that's my that and dead fish are my like 2. Well, that and they're all bad. Okay,
fish scales.
Yeah, but yeah, fish, booger, and dishwater. Those will put you out.
Dead fish. You guys hate me. What's up, boys? Merry Christmas. At least like I got that for Christmas. I'm waiting that way. Dead fish is criminal. Sorry, boys. I'm like, it's good, Antoine. It's good, brother. We appreciate you stopping by. So D Rose, in the meantime, I'm out of Diet Dr. P. Not a sponsor, by the way, but hey, if y'all do want to sponsor your boy, hook me up because I hate drinking water. In the meantime, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to let you break down this first fight, or just give the people your opinion on this. We got a fight for UFC 311, and it's not going to be the main event because obviously it ain't for a title, but we do have the main event for UFC 311. It was announced about 30 minutes ago, so we'll talk about that if it's not on here as well. But give me your thoughts on probably what's going to be the co-main event for UFC 311.
Yeah. Speaking of the water, I imagine you buying like a 24 pack of water and it lasting like 2.5 to 3 months at your house. Just because you're so resistant.
That's last 24 months.
And that's just to cook with it. They ain't even drinking it. You just use it to do a little bit of cooking with it, and that's it. Oh man, that's rough. My man is just so negligent. The water is crazy. But Yuri and Jamal, I mean, this was the fight that we were supposed to get a couple years ago before, Alex Pereira kind of came in and just took over everything. And I was very much looking forward to this fight. This was before Yuri had taken his lumps against Alex Pereira. And to be fair, I'm still going to be excited for this fight because I think Yuri, he always brings a fight. And I think Jamal Hill does too, to a certain extent. He did, in the argument that he's saying about the difference between how he lost and how Hill lost to Alex and Yuri lost to Alex. I mean, yeah, he's delusional. I get what he's saying to a certain extent as far as getting caught versus getting dominated, but in that same context, you got caught so early, like it was just that was it. Like, you didn't have the chance to get dominated because you just got caught. Like you could say at least Yuri was able to take some of those shots and give Alex Pereira some shots back. But I think just in terms of how they match up, Yuri's always going to ring the fight, and Jamal Hill's got that dog in him when he needs it. So it should be a really good fight.
You know who I'm going for in that bad boy. Let's go Yuri. Just get punched in the face.
Get elbowed in the face.
Yeah, here we go, dude. We got Jacob Alcoon taking on Rodolfo Vieira. That is, I said Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira, UFC Vegas 102, February 15th. What's your thoughts on that, man? That's an interesting matchup. Yeah,
that is. That's exactly what I was about to say. That's interesting. Rodolfo Vieira, obviously we know his art and jiu-jitsu and just the way that he's able to implement his game and submit anybody that dares get on the ground with him. He's kind of like the modern day Damian Maia, you could say, to a certain extent, just the way he's so dangerous on the ground. And Jacob Malkoon, he's pretty good wrestle boxer type of fighter, and I'm curious to see if he's going to try to take down Rodolfo Vieira, because if he does, I say that's going to be a bad mistake. But I want to see Rodolfo Vieira improve on the feet, man. He's obviously shown his wrestling has came along a little bit more to where he's able to get the fight to the ground instead of just trying to pull guard. But I do want to see his striking kind of come along if he kind of wants to try to take those next steps.
Yeah, I mean, it did look a little bit better. Was it in the Brendan Allen fight? It didn't look terrible in that fight, unless I'm getting my fights confused. But yeah, for sure an interesting fight though. So let's move on to this, dude. I don't even have an opinion.
Your guy.
Dude, and I'm beginning to not, dude. It's like I don't have an opinion on Grant Dawson because what can you do? Because every time he fights, he's minus 500. And it's like he's either going to get knocked out or control the dude for all 3 rounds and win via decision. So it's like, dude, I have no opinion on this fight, and I will not be betting on this fight on UFC 311 January 18th. I say that now, but I'm sure I'll find my way to something.
You already knew you were gonna. Yeah, you knew you were gonna stumble into that. Like, come on now, you're somehow, some way, you're going to manage to find a way to bet on this fight.
Yeah,
even though it's going to be not advisable at all to do it.
No,
but
no.
Now I will stay away from this because I just wouldn't have a great feel for this fight at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos Diego Ferreira was able to knock out Grant Dawson. So I wouldn't touch that fight with a 10-foot pole betting wise. And I'm with you. I just can't have much of an opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't care about the fight.
You just want to give
I
me
don't
shit
really.
about it.
Yeah. Well, no, just as far as you betting, not you not giving a shit about it. Yeah, you're saying you're not gonna bet it. Come on now, you're gonna find the over or Grand Dawson 3 decision. I know how you work.
Yeah, probably. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on to the next one, where we have another fun one, dude. We got Ismail Bonfim taking on Nazim Nasty Nas, or the Black Wolf Sadikov. I would have a picture on this, but I no longer pay for StreamYard to pop it up, so you guys no longer get that picture of me and Nazim Sadikov. Well, what's your thoughts on this fight, dearest?
Yeah. Yeah, you know how like Nazim Sadikov, he's a good fighter, and he, I know he trains out of that Longo Serra, or is it Longo Serra now? I don't even know what it is now anymore, but kind of trains with Aljo and those guys up there in that area. And Ismail Bonfim, he had that run in with BSD, of course, but I like the way that he's kind of came back a little bit, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on who he ended up fighting in his last fight. But
I think it was like Vince Michelle or some shit like that, where it's like, dude, finish him.
Yeah. But the one thing I would say though is that my biggest concern was Ismail Bonfim being able to go 3 rounds, and Vince Michelle did offer a little bit of resistance to where I thought, maybe Ismail Bonfim could crumple there at the end, and he kept his composure for the most part in the fight, and I think it was a good confidence builder, coming off that BSD loss, But man, that should be a pretty good fight. I mean, I'm definitely going to favor Sadikov going into that fight. I think he's going to be the bigger guy for sure, and the better wrestler. But man, Bonfim's dangerous.
And also let us know they're getting a UFC fight in Seattle in September. I mean, I said September, in February. That's what's up. Hopefully you get to go. Dave DJing on the DJ, and we got Happy Tree, first time liver viewer. Glad I could get you live. Appreciate you stopping by, Happy Tree. You are the man. Shout out you for stopping by here. Next up, we have the big brother Gabriel Bonfim taking on Renat Fakhretdinov. Why do I feel like this fight happened?
I think it was scheduled. Right? Yeah, I think it was scheduled at one point, and then it might have been Fakhretdinov's last fight. I think that might have been what it was. Because then he ended up fighting the juiced up Brazilian dude on short notes.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I don't know, dude. But
no, I am with you. I felt like this fight is definitely, it hasn't happened, but it's definitely been booked once before. Like we talked about this fight once before, for sure.
Yeah. But the fight itself, though, one of those ones where it's like, I had the same feeling about it, kind of like the Grant Dawson fight. Like Renat's probably going to end up being like minus 300 favorite. Fight's probably going to go to decision, and he's probably going to get a robbery win. That's probably how it's going to go, dude.
Yeah, he be getting some bullshit. Dude, I don't care. I bet on Renat Fakhretdinov in his last fight, round 3 or decision. I didn't start watching that fight until the second round, and he lost the second and third round, and I was like, well, right? I lost that bet. I was like, yo, I lost that bet, and then all of a sudden they were like, Renat Fakhretdinov. I'm like, dude, unbelievable.
30-27. Like, what?
Yeah, 30. Dude, it was absolutely unbelievable. I was like, how did they?
What is the same judge there that gave the tie to a Vasa fight to him when he?
Yeah, damn it, I done forgot his name now. We're gonna have to go back and
like something Booth, Gary Booth, David Booth. I don't know, some shit like that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and get that. Make sure that judge ain't on any more calls.
This is going to be this weekend. I don't know who the hell Taliesin Teixeira is anyway, but we'll talk about this fight for this weekend. So we'll move on to the next one. Don't care about that one. Iwan Kutalaba versus Ibo Aslan, dude. God, it was this battle of Ian versus Ibo. Like, whoever loses gets cut from the UFC. Only one room for one 3-letter first name. Three
letters start with an I first name.
It was as bad as that joke was, this fight, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think E1, basically there's not a lot of UFC fighters I dislike, and he is one of those fighters that I
Dude,
do
is there something
dislike.
wrong with me? I can't stop looking at dude, this. It's like they're poking out of the screen at me.
Nah,
It's
locked
like,
in there.
what's happening? Like, yeah, it's like I need to put like we're gonna get pulled off of
Maybe
YouTube
he's
for Iwan
yeah.
Kutalava's big ass nipples on the screen.
Yeah, maybe he was
But anyway.
maybe it was cold in that room.
Ivo Aslan first round knockout there, though. We got, I feel like this fight's already happened or already been scheduled too. Abdul Karim Al Sawadi versus Jordan Levitt. Why do I feel like something like this has already happened or already scheduled? I don't know.
Why does Kareem or Al Selwadi? What I'll just say that. Why does his face look animated? Because it's so smushed to the left. Because his nose literally starts on the way we're looking on his right side and ends on his left. Like that
Dude,
shit
it looks
is
like
crazy.
somebody kicked him in the lower back too.
Dude. Aren't you back, boy? Yeah, bro. Like,
but a
yeah,
lot
he
of
looks like
wrestlers had that stance.
dude,
He
he looks like a Fortnite character. Like that's
Dude,
exactly what he looks like with the big ears and the.
he has the Ben Askren stance, dude. It's like that's that wrestling stance, dude. Anyway, me and you talked about this one a little bit last week, dude. Me and you're split here, I think. We got Kevin Holland versus Renier de Ridder. UFC 311 January 18th. Gonna be a banger, at least in my opinion. I think so. I got Kevin Holland here simply because but the way Renier de Ridder was reacting to the way GM3 was hitting him, I just can't imagine he can even take 2-3 punches from Kevin Holland. So yeah, I have to go Kevin Holland probably to win via first round knockout here. What's your early thoughts on this fight, D-Rose?
Yeah, no, I think it's a well-matched fight. It's definitely a good test because Kevin Holland's always down to scrap. I always thought that he should have maybe focused on welterweight a little bit more to where he could have made a run for a title. But I mean, he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's down to put on a banger of a fight. And, he typically does for the most part and always comes through for the UFC, coming in on short notice and stuff like that. So, and, taking up and comers. And this is another one of those fights in Renier de Ridder to where he's taking one of those up and comer fights. And, man, I do have to say, I think I favor Renier de Ridder just because, especially at 185, Kevin Holland's just always struggled with the takedown defense, man. And, although he has been able to fight out the submissions a lot better because his jiu-jitsu is good. So he is able to, display good defense for the most part, but he does get taken down and controlled a lot. So I could see Renier de Ridder doing that for 3 rounds.
All right. We'll move on to the next one where that'll be this weekend as well. But hey, D-Rose, did you know that Nick Diaz was not going to be fighting? Like, who would have guessed that?
Dude, have you actually seen Nick Diaz lately?
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Like, who would have guessed that? Anyway, we got Cody Brundage versus Ryan Loder, dude. Your boy's getting another chance, man. Going against a tough alumni, dude. I believe he won tough. What's your thoughts on this? And how much money are you going to be laying on this bad boy?
Not a lick. And I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say Ryan Loder. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even familiar with the guy, but I'm just gonna tell you now: do not bet the fight. I don't care how you feel about the fight. He will burn your bet one way or the other. Do not bet a Cody Brundage fight. For some of the listeners that are here, early on in the podcast, I have made bets on Cody Brundage in a couple of different fights where I liked him. And he just made so many bad IQ decisions. It was really after the Rodolfo Vieira fight where he kept hurting Rodolfo Vieira and then ended up going back on the ground just to get submitted. from that point on, I said, dude, I just can't bet his fights anymore because every time I feel good about him getting a dub, he loses. And every time I think he's going to lose, he comes out and wins. So I was like, I can't bet the guy anymore, man. I just absolutely can't. And I've stayed true to that. I know he burned a lot of people against Bo Nickel. And then he had the oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? The
Judo Thunder.
Yes, Thunder Thighs.
Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Yes, there you go. Yes, I don't know why I just blanked on him for a second, but yes, he screwed everybody in that Abdul Razak Al Hassan fight. I don't care what you say, he absolutely screwed you in that bet. I don't care if you bet that fight, and he screwed you, didn't he? And
yeah,
just
probably.
imagine how everybody else feels when they bet his fights and they just fall out because Cody Brundage is Cody Brundage. Stay away from his fights betting wise.
We got kids stopping by. What's up, guys? Or what's up, dudes? Hope you are all doing good this week. Indeed, we are, Ken. Thank you for stopping by. And we got Dave saying couldn't pay me to bet on either of those momos. All right. I went the wrong one. What am I doing? Oh, clicking things now. Where are we at? Here we go. We got the return of T-Rex. Here we go. Terrence McKinney taking on Damir Hadzovic. Hadn't seen him in a rather long time, D-Rose. February 1st, Riyadh. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I felt like I haven't seen either of them in a while. But man, T-Rex coming off that, that brutal knockout as my cat makes another cameo. Well, her tail does anyway. Man, McKinney taking that rough knockout to Ribovic, dude, just absolutely brutal. So good to see him take that time off. And as you said, I already blanked on his name. Hadzovic. We haven't seen him in a while either. So should be a good fight, but I'm more curious to see where Terrence McKinney's at. Indeed.
And we got someone that, we're both kind of a fan of. And it ain't the Russian on the left side of your screen. It's our guy, Vinicius. And if you don't remember his fight name, let me give you a little.
I said, do we have a problem? Huh?
Vinicius, do we have a problem, Oliveira? we got Loke Dog, Vinicius Oliveira. Gonna be fighting. Is this Saeed Nurmagomedov here? Yeah, yes. Saeed Nurmagomedov, Riyadh, February 1st. What's your thoughts on that one, man?
Man, that's an interesting fight. I've always been not like a super fan of Saeed, but I've been a pretty big fan of his just because I know he's not from that same Nurmagomedov from Khabib's side. But he's actually a pretty fun fighter, man. He has a lot of dope finishes. Got some nice spinning back kicks. He's a good fighter. And man, Loke Dog, that dude, he's just been an absolute G. Just the way that he fights, he just brings the thunder. That Ricky Simone fight, I mean, honestly, dude, his leg kicks, he was just absolutely crushing Ricky Simone with those leg kicks. And then man, y'all wild. Yo, Dave is nuts. But yeah, now low dog's a G, man. So I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be tough for me to pick in that fight, but man, that should be a banger.
Indeed. And I bet you're excited for this one. We got Sean O'Bannon versus Pooja Tamar. How about we talk about Anyway, we got William Gomi versus Hyder Emil. This one should actually be a fun one, dude. Hyder Emil is fucking all action, dude. I made a shit ton of money on his last fight, betting his round one knockout, dude, because he comes out guns fucking blazing. He's going to get hit, but he's going to throw back, dude. And I don't think William Gomi can handle that pressure if he comes out the exact same way, dude. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think this is a good fight, and I know you had said that you would won some money on Hyder Emil in his last fight. I won some pretty good money on William Gomi in his last fight against Joe Anderson Brito, and man, I know Hyder Emil came out like a wrecking ball in that first fight, but man, William Gomi, he's super technical, sharp, light on his feet, so he moves around a lot. And man, if you're leading Hyder or Emil, I could definitely already see that going the way this fight could be decided the peg champ. And I'm definitely feeling William Gomi in this fight, and I'd love to get that round 3 decision prop.
Antoine wants to know, what would y'all rate Bannon? She's a solid 7. In looks, I personally don't like females that look like ducks. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on that, dude?
Her lips definitely look a little plump.
Like, stop with the injections.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all? Do y'all think that looks good? I don't know. Anyway, and the last one here, we've got Billy Golf versus Nikolai Veretennikov. If you care about that one at all, D Rose, that's February 15th.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Golf, he normally comes out like a man on fire. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm too familiar with Nikolai, but yeah, Billy Golf, now he normally brings a pretty fun fight, so should be a fun one.
Yeah, and I guess the newest one isn't added here, D Rose, but about 30 minutes ago, Dana White got on there. I saw his little post.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
It's Dana White for the UFC Apex headquarters.
I actually put it on my story, but the main event for UFC 311 is Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. So I guess what's your thoughts on UFC 311 main event, dude?
Yeah, I mean, and it was, obviously we knew that was going to be the fight that was supposed to happen. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. So about time that, we're able to kind of get the fight going. And, I think this time around, I do think Arman will be able to give Islam a tougher fight, but just leaning early on. Still think I got to go Islam, man. I just think that I think Islam's just, he's just shown that he's on another level right now. Already having the win over Arman, he's going to have that confidence going into the rematch. And but yeah, I think it should be a good fight. And hey, Arman's shown a lot of improvement since then. We saw how he looked in the Charles Oliveira fight. Although I did think Oliveira won that fight. I mean, Arman Tsarukyan was willing to get naked to get out of that guillotine. So
yeah,
I mean that dude, he's absolutely tough. He's a G. And man, you get guys that are that tough and not willing to quit on themselves. Anything can happen in the sport. So, but that should be a really good fight.
Yeah, UFC 311 main and co-main event going to be wild, dude. UFC 311 as a whole, dude, it's already shaping up to be a pretty fun pay-per-view, dude.
Yeah.
Wins, he breaks the title defense record for lightweight. Could that make him the greatest lightweight of all time? I guess so. I mean, to me, lightweight, there hasn't been that long reigning defending champion. Like, it's usually like 4 or 5 and then they lose it. 4 or 5 and then they lose it. But
I think the most was 3. Yeah, Habib only had 3, and that was the most. I think BJ Penn had like 2. Yeah, nobody ever really had that much because the division's just been such a shark tank for so long that you can only hold the title in those divisions for so long because everybody in that division is so good, and any given night anybody can get you.
Yeah, I don't know, Antoine. Good question. How about you, Duros?
The only thing that makes it a little weird is that he's got the 2 title defenses against Volk, one on short notice. He ended up getting the Charles Oliveira fight in a very favorable manner. So I think some people, kind of hold that over his head a little bit. So, the Dustin Poirier fight, yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. I'm going to take a hot shower right after this one. But I think maybe Arman and then maybe one more, and I can say so. But I mean, just Habib's dominance, though, I do have to say, I was a Tony guy for the longest time, but Habib's dominance, just the way that he was able to implement his game plan on everybody, I just had to think that he would be able to do that to even anybody, maybe even now as well. But yeah, I would still have to give that to Habib for now.
Yeah, hear me out. I would give it to kind of obviously the nod would go to Khabib for the greatest just because the undefeated. But dude, right there, dude, I would have to give it to Oliveira, dude. He had a good title run, dude, over good fighters, dude. Like the best, So it is what it is.
Chandler, Poirier, and Gaethje, dude. It was a run full of title fights that
excitement.
Dude, dude, just absolute bonkers fights. The Poirier fight, I go back and watch that first round all the time. I was going for Poirier so hard in that fight, man. And of course, Oliveira just managed to get his way through and get that submission. And then the Gaethje fight, just the way they went back and forth, and that first Chandler fight, and Chandler had him rocked there at the beginning. I thought Chandler was going to run away with it, and Dude Bronx definitely, you're right. He definitely had a sneaky run himself.
Yeah, I mean, dude, just so fun, dude. And
I mean, really, if you think about it now,
like before the Chandler fight, it's like, dude, Chandler's gonna smoke him. Like he had just now smoked Dan Hooker, and they're like, dude, Chandler's gonna smoke him, and then all of a sudden, dude, Charlie Olives. Challenge New Bronx comes out of nowhere, dude. Hooks up with Ice Spice, and then it's off to the races.
Dude turned to a Super Saiyan. It was just on fire from there. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Boys, man, that's how I got my blood pressure 200 that night. All right, D-Rose.
Dude, dude, that was such a fun fight. Fight.
Let's get into the fights for this weekend, man. We got UFC 310, Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Newly signed Kai Asakura from Ryzen. So I believe the last time we had, someone from Ryzen would have been Ranier de Ridder a few weeks ago. But before that, the last one that made a statement was none other than Yuri Prochazka, dude. We have a few more fighters in the UFC, but now caps it, like now in the UFC, but the one that's made the biggest splash has been Yuri Prochazka. So before we get started breaking down this fight, do you think Kai Asakura has the potential to make the splash that Yuri made when he came into the UFC, D-Rose?
I mean, I've definitely been watching some of his, really just watching his highlights. It's not like I'm doing like all kinds of background search and stuff like that. But man, the dude, he's exciting from what I've seen. He's got power. He's got some good shots. We'll get into it in terms of the entire breakdown. But and I know he's going to be he's going to be a pretty decent underdog just because this is his first UFC fight. But he's going to be live, and he's going to have a pretty decent size advantage over Pantoja coming down from 135 as well. I believe so. So yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a live dog for sure.
Yeah, indeed. So let's get into it. We got fights this weekend. 14 fights to go over, taking place Saturday, December 7th, 6 p.m. East Coast time, taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Fun place to go to if you've never been. I will I will be in Texas this weekend, so I unfortunately will not be doing Change the Cheddar on Friday, as you guys expect me to, because I will be at with my fiance in Texas doing a family thing with her family. Not going to be a lot of English there, so that should be fun for me at least. So I'll be trying to sneak away to watch these fights in the corner the majority of the time. But the main event this weekend is Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja taking on Kai Asakura. We got in the co-main event, or I guess the main event is for the flyweight champion there. In the co-main event, also 5 rounds, though, we've got Shavkat Nomad Rakhmonov taking on Ian Machado Gary, the Future, if that's still his name. Feature fight of the night. Not 100% sure it's going to happen, D-Rose. It is a rematch, though. It is Bongamon Cyril Gane taking on Alexander Drago Volkov. We got this fight that doesn't belong here on the main card, and I don't know why. Are they fighting for who's the biggest flat earther in the UFC, dude? I don't really know what's going on here. Just look at the rankings. We got the number 13 ranked featherweight in the world taking on the number 106 featherweight in the world. Yeah, we got Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell taking on Kron Gracie. I don't know what we're doing there. We got Nate the Train in the UFC, baby, taking on Do Ho Choi, the Korean Superboy. We've seen him a couple times in the past few years after his Korean military service. He is back now, and we got this dude. Why isn't like one of these three on the main card, but instead you put Kron Gracie on there? Anyway, we got Anthony Lionheart Smith taking on Dominic the Devastator Reyes. We got the silent assassin Vicente Luque. At least he used to be, and he's going to be taking on Themba the Answer Garimbo. Mobsar Evloyev taking on Aljamain the Funk Master Sterling. Don't forget that's at 145 pounds. Aljo's second fight there. We got Rude Boy Randy Brown taking on Brian the Butcher Battle. I keep wanting to call him Pooh Bear, but it is what it is. The fight's rebooked. Chris, the All-American Weidman, taking on your boy, Eric Anders. Yeah, rebooked at 195 pounds, so catch weight from last pay-per-view. We've got custom-made Cody Durden. I think that's what he's going to go by now. He's going to be taking on Joshua Van. Me and D-Rose like to talk about Josh Van, so we'll probably spend a little bit of time on that. We got Michael, the Maverick Chiesa, taking on Max Payne Griffin. We got Clay, the Carpenter Guida, taking on Chase, the Dream Hooper. We've got the African Savage, Kennedy and Zetriku, taking on Lucas Dretsky. So that is where we'll start at when we do start, D-Rose. But, man, me and you talked about this card a couple of weeks ago just on how excited we were for it for the most part. But, yeah, dude, how excited are you for this card this weekend?
Yeah, no, and a big reason why, I was, kind of pumping the card up was because I had been seeing where I saw a post somewhere where a dude was kind of talking about how this card was not that great, and the UFC can deliver a lot better than this and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, if you're a fight fan, you should 1000% appreciate this card because, dude, there are banger matchups from top to bottom. There's going to be a bunch of good scraps. There's going to be a bunch of guys who are good with the mic, who are going to be able to talk. We got like Brian Battle and Nate Landwehr. We got a couple guys like that, Ian Gary, Bryce Mitchell. People love when he gets, the mic in his hands as well. We got a bunch of different personalities. We got a bunch of different fun fight styles. And is this the most star-studded card, as far as the John Joneses and the Conor McGregors? No, but dude, for a hardcore fan, dude, this card is 1000% a banger of a card. And for me, I'm not gonna lie, I love matchups from top to bottom. I mean, almost every fight I can say, one way or another, I'm very excited for. Maybe Max Griffin, Michael Chiesa, not so much. But other than that, I can pretty much say at one point or another, I can see why I'd be excited for the fight. And man, I give this card an A-. I think if you had another title fight on top, I think you can 100% say that it's it's a A+ card.
Do you know what would make that that number go down to like a B+ if Bilal was still on this card?
That's it. But if it was against Shavkat,
it's just like there's a chance of the fight could just be asked. Could I pass for Cuban, D-Rose? I could give you guys my very best Yoel Romero. I love you, Mike.
Mark Cuban.
No,
Mark Cuban or I'm saying maybe Mark Cuban, but no, not Cuban at all.
Oh goodness. All right, D-Rose, let's get into this damn card. We got first fight of the night. We got Kennedy, the African Savage in Zetriku, taking on Lucas, the Bull Dretsky. Currently odds for this fight -650 for Kennedy and Zetriku. Lucas Dretsky is +420. Kennedy's 32 years old, 6'5" and an 83-inch reach, while Lucas Dretsky 6'4", 78-inch reach, 32 years old. This is going to be a good size matchup. Probably going to be one of the biggest guys Kennedy's ever fought. And truly, if Lucas Dretsky comes into this fight in shape, dude, how can you realistically bet minus 650 on Kennedy and feel good about it after like he just got snoozed by Dustin Jacoby, outpointed by the ghost of OSP, dude, and it's like, and then he possibly close to gotten flying fat kicked by Chris Barnett before he, pulled his hamstring out in his last fight, dude. How can you feel comfortable laying this price? For me, it's probably Kennedy via like front choke or some shit like that, because on the other side, Lucas Dretsky is getting knocked out by people that really don't finish people. Like Mick Parkin doesn't finish really anyone, and Salsa Boy knocked Lucas Dretsky's block off after he air humped Andre Arlovsky for 3 rounds. So I don't have a good feeling about Lucas Dretsky's chin at this point either. So probably not going to be comfortable betting on this fight. And because there's no props already and I leave tomorrow, I probably won't have a bet on this fight at all. So, give me Kennedy to win this fight via second round submission, D-Rose. Which way are you going here?
Wait, is gambling not legal in Texas?
So there's no sports betting in Texas. There's only fantasy. So if I want to bet this weekend, I got to do some like prize picks or something like that.
That's crazy. I had no idea that there was no gambling in Texas or sports gambling. That's crazy. But I pretty much feel exactly like you do on this fight. Kennedy is execute. There's no way that I'm playing Kennedy is execute that high money. And I just don't trust Lucas Dretsky enough because we've just seen him chin too many times. And I think what is he like 1-3, 1-4 in the UFC currently at this point. And as you said, almost
the only person that he beat was, I think, Walter Walker, and that's it, dude.
Yeah. And other than that, he's pretty much been clubbed in most of his fights. I mean, Kennedy I do think he should have the speed advantage. So I do think just as far as if it stays on the feet, I do think he should be able to pick apart Dretsky and eventually find the knockout or maybe do like a club and sub or something like that. But yeah, I think Kennedy should be able to get the finisher.
All right, me and D-Rose both on the African Savage, Kennedy and Zetriku. So we'll move on to the next one where we got Clay, the Carpenter Guida, taking on Chase, the Dream Hooper. Here we go with the odds again. Chase Hooper minus 1,000, currently your favorite, and Clay Guida is plus 560. Clay Guida, 38-24 overall, 42 years old, 5'7" and a 70-inch reach, while Chase Hooper is 14-3 overall, 25 years old, 6'1" and a 74-inch reach. Oh, excuse me. And not only that, if you just click the Tapology record, it's going to show that these guys fought like a couple months ago, but it wasn't in the UFC. It was at Fury Grappling, where Chase Hooper submitted Clay Guida in the first round with a calf slicer. So, Chase Hooper's winning this fight at minus 1,000 though. Like, how can you even play it? Do you play him by finish? Because he should finish Clay Guida, but at the same time, dude, this is different. There's punches, like shit can go array. But in my opinion, with how good Chase Hooper's striking has been getting, dude, I think Chase Hooper should easily put away Clay Guida. But we know how these fights happen with these legends. Do the young guns respect these legends too much? They really get them out of there, someone like Clay Guida that's been in the UFC for a long time. I don't know how this fight goes. Obviously, Chase Hooper wins this fight. He should finish Clay Guida, but I don't feel the greatest about it, D-Rose. How about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, Chase Hooper, I think maybe it's just his appearance. I just don't see like that aggressor in him as far as just pressing the action and getting the finish. But when you actually watch him in the Slava Claus fight, in his last fight, dude, you just saw how much how the striking has came along so much. And he just hurt Slava Claus with almost every shot he landed, hurt him with body kicks, jabs. I mean, just absolutely crushing him until he ended up getting him down. And And after that, of course, once Chase Hooper gets the fight down to the ground, it's in his world from there. And he's, his jiu-jitsu is great. And Clay Guida, we know he's got that dog in him. He's tough as can be. He's $2 steak tough, man. He unfortunately doesn't get the hair injections anymore, so he's walking around with he's got the he's got the shorter hair now, so he's not getting the hair injections anymore or anything like that.
It falls like this.
Yeah, quite literally, just like sitting there, just looks like a mop just sitting on top of his head after a while. But yeah, I think Chase Hooper, another one that if I don't play Chase Hooper by submission, I'm probably not going to play this fight. But yeah, Chase Hooper, I think he should be able to get the finish against Clay Guida. And yeah, I'll say by submission.
All right. Club and sub for me probably as well, but I guess we'll see how it goes. Moving on, we got a fun one up next. We got Mike the Maverick Chiesa taking on Max Payne Griffin. The Maverick, Mike Chiesa, 17-7 overall, 37 years old, 6'1" and a 75-inch reach, while Max Payne Griffin, 20-10 overall, 39 years old, 5'11" and a 76-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight, -102 for Michael Chiesa and -125 for Max Payne Griffin. So Max Payne Griffin, the slightest of favorites, but pretty much near even fight at this moment. Yeah, I guess the way I have to look at this fight is who I've seen more recently, which is Mike Chiesa, although it was against Tony Ferguson, dude. And if I'm going to be honest, I won't. If you're UFC level, I need you to go out there and beat the shit out of Tony, dude. He shouldn't have any chances against you at this point, dude, especially with the size advantage that Mike Chiesa had over him. I know he finished him still, but I don't know. He just didn't look great doing it. And I think Mike Chiesa at this point is maybe only taking fights that he can maybe see himself winning. He is going to be taking on Max Payne Griffin this week that, in my opinion, is the definitely more well-rounded fighter of the two here. He is older of the two. And if you just look back over the last 4 years, he's been a lot more active than Mike Chiesa has. He's got a lot cleaner boxing, got a lot better in and out movement. Mike Chiesa's got good grappling, but aside from that, he just kind of zombies in trying to get a hold of you. And I think Max Payne probably going to box up Mike Chiesa. Yeah, unless Mike Chiesa somehow Mackenzie Dern style gets it to the ground, dude, give me Max Payne Griffin to box up Mike Chiesa all 3 rounds. Yeah, which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I will say that this one I was having a little bit of trouble with going back and forth with because I'll just be honest, I can kind of lean both ways here just as far as who I think will win the fight. And I think, Max Griffin, if I had to say what separates him from Michael Chiesa is his boxing. His boxing is pretty clean for the most part, and he's got good leg kicks as well. Not that he's like Ilia Topuria boxing, but good, just good fundamentals.
I'm pretty sure he knocked down or out Zaleski, right? I mean, he's tough as shit.
Yeah, Max Griffin, he's super tough dude, and Michael Chiesa, we know what he's gonna want to do: get the fight to the ground at all costs. He's got some decent kicks at best, but dude, when it comes to the hands, Chiesa just doesn't have much to offer at all. So he's gonna have to get the fight to the ground. Just for me, the way that I can see this fight playing out, man, I don't know if I've really seen Max Griffin ever fight anybody that's really going to try to wrestle and get the fight to the ground. The last time we actually saw
one was probably Neil Magny with a clinch. That's probably the closest thing we saw.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, just kind of going through his record, maybe he did lose a fight to Cowboy Oliveira. Max Griffin did. Now that I'm kind of remembering that fight, Oliveira did kind of wrestle him a little bit. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I like Chiesa at the dog. If Chiesa was the favorite, I'm not gonna lie, I would not like the line as much. It would kind of make me swing towards Max Griffin, but Michael Chiesa at this underdog point, yeah, man, I think I like it. And yeah, Max Griffin, he's a good offensive wrestler. Just don't really know how much we've seen him defensively wrestle, because whenever he has kind of faltered. So yeah, I like the dog money on Chiesa here to get the dub.
I don't hate it. But I mean, that line's real close. I mean,
yeah, it's close, and I think Chiesa's going to, like you said, he had a pretty significant size advantage against Tony Ferguson. I think he's also going to have the size advantage against Max Griffin, which I agree with you that Michael Chiesa is kind of picking fights at this point for it to be that's going to be more in his favor. And I think he's going to have the size advantage over Max Griffin, which is going to make him feel more comfortable in terms of getting the fight to the ground.
Gotcha. So we basically agree on the fight that we think Max boxes him up if Mike Chiesa can't get it to the ground. You just think Mike Chiesa gets it to the ground, and I just think Max Payne Griffin boxes him up. Yeah, so me and you got the same read on this fight. Me and you just think it goes the opposite way that we think it could go. But yeah, I don't hate your read on it, D Rose. I'm gonna be honest, I do agree with you. I have to go with Max Payne. So that's the first different fight of the night. D Rose on Mike Chiesa, and I'm on Max Payne Griffin. So we'll move on to this fun one, dude. We've got custom made Cody Durden taking on the fearless Joshua Van. So Cody Durden, 17-6-1 overall. He's 33 years old, 5'7", and a 67-inch reach, while the fearless Joshua Van is 23 years old, 5'5", and a 65-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight plus 124 for Cody Durden and minus 158 for Joshua Van. D Rose, I'm going to let you do the honors here. I've been yapping my yapper for, talking about the first few of these fights. I know you have an opinion here, so let me have it, my guy.
Yeah, just that I'm a fan of Joshua Van. The guy, he's a super fun fighter. And I think even for him to be 23 years old, he's super technical. Really good boxing, really good setups with the way he uses his boxing. And he did have that stumble against Charles Johnson. We were watching that fight live on one another when that fight happened. That actually was a very fun fight, and I thought that, if I'm being honest, I thought Josh Van kind of brought out the best in Charles Johnson, because Charles Johnson knew that he really needed to kind of go out there and press the gas in the third round to kind of separate himself to get the win, and he ended up getting a nice finish against Josh Van. But then I think Josh Van going back in the Edgar Chairez fight, there were moments in that fight, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I thought Edgar Chairez was going to be able to get Josh Van out of there. And even when Edgar Chairez got the fight to the ground, Josh Van was able to get back up and was still able to kind of implement his game, hurt Edgar Chairez later in the fight. So yeah, I like the way he bounced back there. And Cody Durden, he's kind of came on in his last few fights as well. When he had that fight against Bruno Silva, that fight was an absolute war. Crazy that he did not get the finish against Bruno Silva, just as many times as he had hurt Bruno Silva. Of course, he ultimately ended up getting finished in that fight as well. But that was a banger of a fight. That fight happened earlier this year. It's going to be buried as far as fight of the year talks. But you go back and watch that fight, Cody Durden and Bruno Silva, banger of a fight. And then Cody Durden, of course, had Matt Schnell in his last fight. Came back and, of course, got the finish against Matt Schnell, because Matt Schnell has made it a hobby of getting finished in his last few fights at this point. But just the way that I think it matches up is that I just think that Cody Durden, I believe he's also taking this fight on short notice as well. He's going to be the bigger guy. I think he's going to have the better wrestling overall. But I think Josh Vance is going to be the cleaner of the two. He's got good cardio. Of course, like I said, Charles Johnson knocked him out. But other than that, Josh Van does have pretty good striking defense for the most part. Doesn't get hit with the cleanest of shots, where I do think Cody Durden catches the end of some big shots from time to time. And Josh Van might not get I think maybe a late finish. But if he doesn't get a late finish, I can see a decision. Just Cody Durden getting dropped maybe a couple times and having to go to some clinch exchanges a couple of times. But I think Josh Van gets I'll go round 3 or decision. But let's go Josh Van here.
Okay, fair enough. Part of the reason why I passed that one to you first, D-Rose, because I wanted to see if you went with Josh Van, which you did. But if you didn't, I would have gladly went with him. But I was going to pick the opposite here, either way, because I can see past the victory for both fighters here, and simply because one, you were just kind of talking about it. That last fight, Bruno Silva, Cody Durden. Cody Durden's paws are ever improving, dude, and he's got some thumps on him, dude. He's got some power. He can hurt someone, and we have seen Josh Van get hurt, and he's not taking any time to recover, dude. He's just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And after the Charles Johnson fight, dude, it was almost like he didn't care that he got knocked out, or he didn't care that he like lost at all, dude. And if you're going like, and this kind of answers Antoine's question, right here, how far I think he can go. If you're going to end up in the top of the division, dude, I almost feel like if you lose, you have to at least care a little bit. And he almost seemed like he didn't even like he was like, I'm just in here getting paid, dude. So I think he needs to buckle down and maybe care a little bit more if he wants to get into the maybe top 10. But I honestly, I don't know. I would like him to see him chill out just a little bit. And Antoine, shout out to Durden. He's from GA like me, indeed. So with that being said, you went Van. I'm going to go Durden because I know he can implement the wrestling, dude. I just need him to. And his strikes are improving. The only worry I have is Van's uppercuts, dude, because if he starts working on the body and gets Durden's hands to drop, dude, Bruno Silva knocked him out with the uppercut in that last fight. And we know Josh Van's got some nasty uppercuts. So if Josh Van knocks him out, I think it's going to be with an uppercut, but I'm going to go Cody Durden to win this fight. Let's go via decision to be safe, D-Rose. Yeah. What are your thoughts on my breakdown of that one?
I am curious to see as far as too, because I know the latest weight was just from the last fight, and I believe the Matt Schnell fight with Durden was short notice, but I believe this one's short notice as well, that he's, Durden's coming in on. So is weight going to be an issue for Durden coming into this week? I want to be curious about that as well. And, that's one point that, I'd actually forgot to mention that I actually make about Josh Van is that he does fight very often. So, at some point there could be a little bit of a burnout, dude. I think this is his fourth fight this year.
Dude, and that's just that he's had. What about all the ones that fucking fell out? I remember at one point in this year, we're like, can we get Josh Van a fight? That's 3 fights in a row that have fell out in like 2 weeks.
It was like Tyra, Tamir Ulanbekov. Dude, it was everybody. But yeah, this will be because he fought Felipe Bunes in January. He fought Charles Johnson in July, fought Edgar Chairez in September, and he's fighting this weekend too. So that is something that could catch up to Josh Van. But I still, just in this particular matchup, I still have to favor Josh Van here. All right.
We'll move on to the next one. We got the All-American Chris Weidman taking on your boy Eric Anders. Chris Weidman, 16-7 overall, 40 years old, 6'2" and a 78-inch reach, while your boy Eric Anders, 16-8 overall, 37 years old, 6'1" and a 75-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight -122 for Chris Weidman and -104 for Eric Anders. Last time we broke this down, I asked you, D-Rose, who do you think is going to win this cage push? And not much has changed, to be honest. My pick on the fight has changed because at the face-offs, when this fight was scheduled last pay-per-view, the size of Eric Anders compared to Chris Weidman made me be like, oh, shit. Chris Weidman, dude, he looks like an old man up there. He, like, basically no muscle mass, just looks kind of flabby. As where you see Eric Anders just up there looking like a fucking jacked animal still. The only thing that has me worried is in his last 2 fights, dude, he's gotten dropped against fucking cans like Jamie Pickett, dude. So I don't know how his chin is, but let's not pretend like Chris Weidman's knocking many people out at 40 years old before poking them in the eyes at least first. So, yeah, my pick is flipping from last pay-per-view. Give me Eric Anders to win this cage push. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think and, I think pretty much the same as you, just in terms of how the fight goes. I do think it ends up being a cage push match for the most part. If this was Eric Anders maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I remember when Eric Anders first came into the UFC, and he was like pretty much like dude, you had to make sure you sat down and watched him because he had like some pretty crazy knockouts, some fun dog fights for the most part. And it just seems like over, I'd say probably like the last 2 or 3 years, he just kind of went to like this wrestling heavy, kind of wrestle heavy, just kind of got away from his boxing
heavy.
and you're right. Yeah, clinch heavy for the most part. Outside of the Darren Stewart fight, because he did have
and
that
maybe
first
the
Darren
Iron
Stewart
Turtle
fight,
because he was trying to get Iron Turtle down at least.
Yeah, but he was using the wrestling instead of his hands. The only fight I can really think of recently that he's used really his hands to kind of work it in there was against the Darren Stewart, the dentist.
The dentist.
Other than
he's
that,
been cut from the UFC for like 2 years now. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know where Eric Anders is at this point, and I think Chris Weidman is going to be in those types of situations and clinches and wrestling exchanges and stuff like that. I just think that's where he's going to be able to flourish. Eric Anders can get a little bit tired as the fight goes as well, so I think that'll favor the wrestler and Weidman as well. Give me Weidman by decision here.
All right, we are split on that one. Wouldn't it be wild if that one decided to pick champ?
Sure as hell hope not, because I'm not very confident. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, right now
I can go both ways.
D-Rose. Right
Just
now,
as
our
Lon
three
says.
different fights. Our 3 different fights are on fights that where the lines are both minus like 110, 105, 125 each. Like there's no plus money in these 3 fights.
Yeah. Not at all. Did we which one was
What's up?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. They're all pretty close, but it just goes to show how close the matchups are this weekend.
We got Cody Durden's plus money, but yeah. Chris Weidman minus 122, Eric Anders minus 104, and Max Griffin, Mike Chiesa minus 102, minus 125. So I guess I got the only dog so far in Cody Durden. So we'll move on to the next one where we have one that I think when this got announced, me and you may have been split on, D-Rose. We got Rude Boy Randy Brown taking on Brian the Butcher Battle. Randy Brown, 19-5 overall, 34 years old, 6'3" and a 78-inch reach, while Brian the Butcher Battle was 30 years old, 6'1" and a 77-inch reach. His record is 11-2 overall. Currently, odds for this fight are a little bit wider than what I would like them to be, but minus 215 for Brian Battle and plus 164 for Randy Brown. And I told you they're a little bit wider than what I would like them to be, and that kind of gives my opinion on who I think wins the fight, and that's Brian Battle. Mostly just because he's a dog, man, and every time we see him, he looks better. Dude, the display that he put on Kevin Jousset, dude, and that has good footwork, that fights at City Kickboxing, dude, got in his face, said, fuck what you have, and threw punches at him, dude. And that's how Brian Battle fights, dude. And how can you not be a fan of it? And I'm a fan of his mic skills after the fight as well, dude. Fun on the mic. Randy Brown does have the tools to beat Brian Battle. I will say that. He's got a jab. He's got solid footwork, and he can last all 3 rounds running away and jabbing for the most part. I just think he can get taken down, and I think Brian Battle can use his wrestling and take down take down Randy Brown and control him for large amounts. I don't know how he wins, but give me Brian Battle to win this fight. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, this one, I'm not going to lie. I don't like the bet line because I think Brian Battle should be the favorite? Yes. Man, I don't know. It just feels weird to see Brian Battle that big of a favorite against. Randy Brown is, dude. He's good. He's good. He's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's on like a streak of, I'll look back just to make sure, but I think he's won like 6 out of his last 7, and I think like the only loss was Jack Della Maddalena. Or he won. Yeah, he's won 6 out of his last 7 fights. And yeah, that one loss was to Jack Della Maddalena, but he's looked good in all of his other fights. He finished Muslim Salikov as well. So
Good is a strong word for how he looked, especially against Zaleski in his last fight. Like,
yeah, I mean that fight was like boring, but in terms of like he had a pretty clean, for the most part, a pretty clean performance.
he almost got choked out.
I know that. Yeah, well, I was gonna say that I think it was either the second or third round. I remember it got a little tricky there because I had a Randy Brown by decision bet, so I do remember it was it got a little tricky there, but he did get a unanimous decision at the end of the day too. So I did think that he got it unanimously, but yeah, he's got good footwork, good kicks, good boxing. He's got pretty good offensive wrestling, but he does get hit a lot. And Brian Battle, as you said, he's been really good as far as implementing his game, getting in your face and just, getting the fight to where he wants to get it to. And that's just kind of in that phone booth. And we saw with Gabe Green, we saw with Kevin Jussier. Yeah, you're gonna ooga booga Brian Battle, or if he ooga boogas you and gets you in that corner, man, it's gonna be a rough night for you. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, Brian Battle's an absolute dog. I do think that Brian Battle gets the win here, but man, I don't know if I can feel comfortable putting that -250 in like a parlay or anything, because man, I just feel like that's just kind of heavy considering how I do respect Randy Brown.
Fair enough. Me and D Rose are both on the Butcher, Brian Battle. We'll move on to one that I really don't think should be on the prelims, but it is. We've got Movsar Evloev taking on the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. Movsar Evloev undefeated at 18-0, 30 years old, 5'7", and a 72.5-inch reach, while Aljamain, the Funk Master, Sterling's 24 years old. I'm sorry, 24-4 overall, 35 years old, 5'7", and a 71-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight -265 for Movsar Evloev and +200 for Aljamain Sterling. This was a tough one for me, D Rose. I'm gonna be honest, because dude, Movsar's undefeated, but I swear in every UFC fight, there's a moment where he's about to get beat. Like I forgot who it was. Like Mike Grundy had him in like this crazy Darce choke. We all know the Diego Lopez fight had him in like fucking knee bars, like in shit. And there was like one other fight, I think.
Dude, Hakeem Dawodu in the third round was walking him down and was like landing bombs on him, and like Movsar was like hanging off.
One other fight, he was in a deep choke too, though. It's like, dude, it's like he worries me in every single fight, but yet he's undefeated, dude. So what can you really say? Both guys are going to be about the same size here, and Aljo looks jacked up at 145. This is going to be a fun fight, and just because of the odds, dude, Aljamain, former champion, dude. And if you ask me who has the better striking, dude, I guess I'd go Aljo, to be honest. If you ask me who's more powerful, I would go Movsar. But just who can mix up, kicks, movement, punch here and there, I would go Aljo's the overall better striker, I guess. So if this is on the feet for 3 rounds, I guess I would go Aljo to win. And then if Movsar ends up somehow wanting to take Aljo down and Aljo does some wild shit and ends up on his back, that's the round. It's over. Movsar ain't getting Aljo off of his back. So yeah, at dog money, dude, give me Aljo to win this fight via decision, man. Which way are you going here?
Yeah, man, this is another one of those fights where I think the line is just a little bit too high. And I'm actually I was on the fence probably for this fight more than anyone, just because I do think that it really could go either way. We know Movsar, we know the way he fights. Unfortunately, he has not gotten a finish in the UFC just yet. People do want to see that from him, but to a certain extent, he has been able to. As you said, he's faced some sort of adversity to where he had to kind of come back, or he had to basically, seal around, Diego Lopez trying to go for his leg. Again, I still remember Hakeem Dawodu was like throwing flying knees at him and stuff like that in the third round, and was like just landing big shots on Movsar, and Movsar was hanging on for dear life. But he does.
And that's a lot to say, because me and Hakeem ain't finishing anyone, dude.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. And yeah, for Aljo, as you said, he's the more versatile striker of the two. He's got more attacks. The thing for me is that I want to see is for Aljo, size wise, how is he going to size up? You know, it says that Mazar is going to be 5'7", but and I know that I know the Calvin Cater is a pretty big featherweight himself, but Aljo looked a lot smaller than Calvin Cater. Now, by the time that fight started, I did pick Aljo in that fight, and I was pretty confident in that fight. And it kind of played out the way I thought, just because Calvin Cater hadn't really fought a wrestler like that. Mazar, I think, is going to be ready for that wrestling game. And I think that he's going to be able to implement his own game because Aljo really hasn't fought anybody with a good offensive wrestling set. And really, you could say the only time that he really has, like, dude, he got taken down by Henry Cejudo a couple of different times in that fight. And yes, you can say Olympic gold medalist, blah, blah, blah. Henry is not a true 135er. Like, he is a 125er at best. And you're talking Aljo going up a weight class against a guy who's going to be naturally the bigger guy, the younger guy. And probably, if I had to guess, with Mazar fighting at 145 a little bit longer, the stronger guy. And if Henry Cejudo was able to take Aljo down like that, I got to think Mazar can. So give me Mazar here by decision.
All right, me and D-Rose split again. We might have 5 on the pay-per-view, so that's what's up. So I'm going Aljo, D-Rose, Mazar. All right, we are split again. Let's see. Oh yeah, click that one. Alan has a good third round against Mavsar, even though the new rules were implemented. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, so fun fight, dude. So let's move on to another fun fight. And yeah, dude, I have an opinion here. We've got the silent assassin, Vicente Luque, unranked, dude. Wasn't he like top 5? Like, that's so crazy to see. Damn, dude.
The fall from grace, man. Yeah, he was on like a 7 or 8 fight win streak, like all finishes. Then I think he lost to Wonder Boy. Then he won like 5 more in a row. And yeah, after that loss to Bilal, he just hadn't been able to get it right, man.
Yeah. So here we go. We got Vicente Luque, 22-10, 22-10-1 overall, 33 years old, 5'11" and a 76-inch reach. While Themba, the answer, Garimbo, 14-4 overall, 33 years old, 6'1" and a 77-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are Themba Garimbo minus 174, your favorite, and Vicente Luque is plus 136, the dog. And D-Rose, if this fight was before that Jeff Neal fight, would the odds not be minus 500 Vicente Luque here?
Yeah, 100% would.
Yeah, I just got to think, man. It's like, if you are still willing to sign a contract to fight and get in there, you have to have some sort of confidence in the amount that you've healed up at this point. Because that Buckley shit, dude, I don't know what it was. I think he maybe had gotten hurt at some point in the fight and then was just like, I don't want to get knocked out. Let me just get out of here. But I got to think, dude, that he's had enough time to heal up enough. And dude, the way Themba Garimbo was hitting fucking Nico Price, like he was like I don't know, dude. I'm just gonna put it like this: Themba's not good, dude. And on his best day 2 years ago, he's not beating Vicente on any fucking day. And truly, dude, I think there's still good value on Vicente Luque now, just because if Themba Garimbo shoots in on him, which he does in every fight, he's not a technical wrestler by any means. He just shoots in, dude, just sticks his neck out there and shoots in. And I think Vicente Luque can wrap up a neck. Give me Vicente Luque to submit Themba Garimbo this week. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Man, you know how much of a fan I am of Vicente Luque. The dude's has been an absolute. Like I said, he went on that win streak. It was like 7 or 8 fights in a row where it was all finishes. I think the last fight that it was Mike Perry, but of course he put Mike Perry's nose on the other side of his face. So that fight was still an absolute banger. I say it every time Vicente Luque fights. I'll say it again. one of my top 5 favorite fights, and I'll even die on the hill to say it's my favorite fight of all time, is Vicente Luque versus Brian Barberena. If you have not seen that fight, you have to go back and watch it. Just an absolute banger from beginning to end. I mean, Vicente Luque was a huge favorite going into the fight. Brian Barberena drops him a couple times. Vicente Luque comes back and gets a finish with like 10 seconds left in the 3rd round to get the win, because if he hadn't won that round, or if he hadn't got the finish, he probably would have lost the fight. Absolute banger of a fight. Vicente Luque's delivered so many memories for me. But man, I just, just the way that he's looked in his last few fights, like I said, after that Jeff Neal fight, obviously the brain injury and stuff like that. Now, I mean, some people do forget that he did have the win against RDA, but I just think RDA for a guy who, yeah, exactly. He knew that RDA, he was going to be bigger than RDA for the most part. So he could just really implement his wrestling and working like that. And I think for Themba Gorimbo, Themba Gorimbo does have pretty good wrestling for the most part. Joaquin Buckley wrestled Vicente Luque pretty easily. So I think Themba Gorimbo could probably end up doing the same here. I say probably a decision. But
I mean, he didn't even get Nico Price out of there. So I mean,
we'll say decision by Themba Gorimbo. Again, I don't want to dog my guy Luque, but I just think I don't want to say shot, but man, that's a lot of miles. 33 might be young in life, but not on fight miles, especially with the way that dude's fought.
Yeah, me and you will be split there. I think he's got enough left in the tank to survive the answer, Themba Gorimbo. Let's go Vicente Luque. That's our 5th different pick there. Let's go on to the featured prelim of the night, D-Rose. Finally at the main prelim, we got Anthony Lionheart-Smith taking on the Devastator, Dominic Reyes. Currently, odds for this fight are Anthony Smith plus 255, Dominic Reyes minus 350. Anthony Smith, 37-20, 36 years old, 6'4", 76-inch reach, while Dominic Reyes, 13-4, 34 years old, 6'4", and a 77-inch reach. Is it bad that I really don't have an opinion on this fight? I don't really care too much who wins the fight. And because I'm saying that, let's go with the dog. Let's go Anthony Lionheart-Smith to touch the chin of the devastated Dominic Reyes. Which way you going here, man?
Damn, it's crazy. So I will say just one thing that going into this, that man, I heard Anthony Smith's like pre-fight press conference, and not gonna lie, dude, I do not like where he's at right now. Like, he's kind of in this state where he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about this. He doesn't care about that. But his jiu-jitsu coach, who has been there for every one of his fights, actually passed away recently. One of the guys asked him, what did it mean to fight for his, fight for his name or whatever. And Anthony Smith's like, I don't care about that. He's like, it'd be cool to win the fight and have the moment afterwards to shout him out, but I don't want to care about that. I don't know, dude. Like, he has very low energy coming into the week. He's almost just kind of like, it's like a day job for him. That's kind of the vibe that I got from him in his pre-fight press conference. Now, he did end up mentioning it in a comment saying that he felt like he just wanted to come in and punch somebody's face. He didn't care about wins or losses or anything like that. He's okay with going out on his shield. But he said the last time he came out and fought like that, he fought Alexander Gustafsson and got the finish. So he tried to, make the correlation there that, the last time he felt like this, it was, ended up being a nice finish that he gotten. But at the same time, man, I just don't like his energy and where he's at. Dominic Reyes, of course, the chin issues that he was having there for a little bit. I'm not even saying that's necessarily fixed. I just don't know if Anthony Smith is going to be that guy to test it. And you look at that last fight that Lionheart had against Roman Dolidze. I mean, just very, very slow, boring fight that, I don't know, that Anthony Smith just hadn't seemed like he's been all in it here lately. So give me Dominic Reyes by knockout.
All right, fair enough. We'll be split again. I don't really like that one too much, so that one for sure not going to be in the pick champ. But
you don't want to put that one? Oh, come on, man.
Nah, dog.
That seems like that's the perfect fight.
I literally said I don't really have an opinion on it, so give me the plus 255 dog. I don't care who wins that shit, dude. You think Anthony Smith retires if he loses the Rose?
He should. I don't know if he will, but he should.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's the number 13 in the world. I don't think they cut him, to be honest. Yeah. So first fight on the main card, we got Nate the Train in the UFC, baby, taking on the Korean Superboy, Doo-Ho Choi, dude. Nate the Train is 18-5 overall, 36 years old, 5'9" and a 72-inch reach, while the Korean Superboy, Doo-Ho Choi, 15-4-1 overall, 33 years old, 5'10" and a 70-inch reach. Currently odds for this fight, Doo-Ho Choi, the underdog, at plus 112, and Nate the Train Landwehr, minus 142, the favorite. And D-Rose, you know I love me some Nate the Train Landwehr. But I love me some Nate the Train Landwehr as usually the big dog that he is. He's a favorite right now, and going up against someone that he's going to be smaller than and that I know has power to fucking crack, man, I don't like the odds for Nate the Train. And that being said, I'm going to go Korean Superboy Doo-Ho Choi. I think he could probably hurt Nate Landwehr. And I hear this so much, dude. I listen to Santino DeFranco's podcast. That, for those of you that don't know, that's the coach over at Fight Ready. That is where Korean Zombie trained at. So him and Korean Zombie are still really close. And Korean Zombie basically tells Santino DeFranco that Korean Superboy has the best jiu-jitsu out of anyone that he's ever grappled with ever. So, yeah, maybe I'll take the chance at it. Give me Doo-Ho Choi to club and sub Nate the Train Landwehr. And it hurts me to say because you know I'm a fan of Nate the Train in the UFC, baby. And if you don't knock him out, he's probably going, or if you don't beat him, he's probably going to win. Keep that in mind. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Yep. And the great words of Nate Landwehr, if you don't beat him, he's probably going to win. That couldn't have been truer words spoken. And that's all he needed. But yeah, I think this fight for me personally, this is one of those where I could definitely see this being the fight of the night. Both dudes are dogs, and they both get in dog fights, and yet both got really good chins for the most part. Doo-Ho Choi did run into that little spree there before he had went into his military services, where he had gotten knocked out by Charles Jourdain, and he got knocked out by Jeremy Stevens in back-to-back fights. In those fights, he was like a little bit younger. He was kind of like still full of piss and vinegar. He had a lot of the reputation from the Cub Swanson fight of the year that he had. And just to think that he was so young then when he was doing that versus now, we haven't even seen him that much, but he's still just 33 years old and still young enough to really kind of make an impact. And Nate Landwehr always bringing a fun fight, but yeah, I think you know which way I'm probably going to lean in this fight. I'm definitely going to Doo-Ho Choi here, just for the reasons you said. He's got the power. Nate Landwehr, although he's super fun, we love when he's on the mic. The dude just gets hit a lot, man. I mean, he gets hit a lot. And Doo-Ho Choi in his last few fights, even though he got the no contest against Kyle Nelson, that fight was still a good fight for him.
Dude,
and
it was a draw.
Patience.
It was a draw.
Or it was a draw. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry. It was a draw. But because he lost the point because
what bullshit judges had Kyle Nelson win any of those rounds? I don't know. So I don't even. At worst, it should have been 29-27 Doo-Ho Choi, dude. But nope.
Yeah, and I meant the draw because the point deduction from the headbutt or whatever that move was. But yeah, Doo-Ho Choi looked patient in that fight. And he looked super patient in the Bill Algea fight in his last fight, where he set up that finish as well. So yeah, I think Doo-Ho Choi does something similar. Let's go maybe third round knockout for Doo-Ho Choi here.
All right, and Antoine want to know if you consider UFC Hall of Famers in the fight wing full on Hall of Famers. Me personally, I don't know. It's weird for me because the sport's still so young. There's not really enough history to have a Hall of Fame yet, in my personal opinion. But so it's kind of like they're just throwing whoever they want in there. What about you, Dearest?
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, they are Hall of Famers for one way or another. Now the only thing with the UFC, you compare it to all the major pro sports versus the UFC. It's just Dana White basically. It was like, yeah,
But
I
what
think
he's
this guy
asking,
deserves, or
though,
this fight deserves getting in.
but what he's
Which,
asking
which I get
is
what
is the equivalent of like, just because a good football game happened, should every one of those players get put in the Hall of Fame because the one football game happened? It's like, no,
Right.
not really.
Right. No, and I do agree with that, but that's kind of my whole tie-in, is just to say that it's really just kind of like Dana White almost like, hey guys, don't forget that this happened. Hey, this is something that happened. Hey, this is the pioneer. It's just kind of almost like it's like I would almost say like a history museum more than a Hall of Fame. Like if it had a different name, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But because it's called the Hall of Fame, people give people who were in a fight that's in the Hall of Fame crap because they're in the Hall of Fame. But I mean, hey, Diego Sanchez and Gilbert Melendez, they can call themselves UFC Hall of Famers because they were in a badass fight. Are they on the same level as a Daniel Cormier or anybody like that? No, but hey, just because there were some people who didn't win the Super Bowl either doesn't mean that they couldn't be in the Hall of Fame either. So
It's almost like
yeah.
Cowboy. Yeah, like never won a championship, but done enough, I guess, to where you at some point you got to put him in there. But it's like Chael Sonnen. Does Chael Sonnen belong in the Hall of Fame? He's a big personality, but I mean,
yeah,
just kidding. Undefeated, undisputed, baby. Just kidding.
I would say John Jones is lucky. John Jones is lucky, man. I didn't get to that second round.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, let's move on to the fight that don't belong. We got Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell taking on Kron Gracie. Thug Nasty, 16-2 overall. 30 years old, 5'10", 70-inch reach, while Kron Gracie is 36 years old, 5'9", and a 70-inch reach. 5'2" is his record overall, dude. As I said, what are we doing here? Currently odds for this fight, we have another -800 favorite, and Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie plus 480, dude. This is one where never in a fight have I said Bryce Mitchell is the better striker here, dude. And this fight, that will be true, man. And I just don't know how Kron Gracie wins this fight, man. Even if Bryce Mitchell plays dumb and goes out there and takes down Kron Gracie, dude, I think if Bryce Mitchell hits him with a few elbows on the ground, the black belt's not going to matter that much, dude. I don't think Kron Gracie is the smartest fighter. I personally think he does this just because to honor his family, if you will. And that's truly why this fight's even on this fucking main card, is because Gracie. Yeah, dude, give me Bryce Mitchell to finish Kron Gracie. Let's go second round. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I really don't care about this fight that much, so I'll keep it short. I think Kron Gracie is too tough to be finished. But I do think Bryce Mitchell is the better striker. If the fight does get to the ground, in terms of if Bryce Mitchell's on top, I still think that he can do enough, as you said, do some ground and pound. So yeah, give me Bryce Mitchell. I don't think he's going to finish Kron Gracie, but give me by decision.
All right, fair enough. Antoine, do you think Jim Miller? I think Jim Miller, yes, because if you retire with one of those big ass fucking records that's probably never going to be touched, I think you can get in the Hall of Fame because of that. KG in the Hall of Fame with his fight with Izzy. See, that's where it's like, I'm not sure about the fights. The fights is where I get a little bit weird, I guess. Me and D-Rose both on Thug Nasty though.
Yeah, that's what I said. It should almost be like I don't know. It should be like a museum or something like that for that type of stuff, because it's more like hey, don't forget that this happened in history versus the actual Hall of Fame for.
Well, I guess that's why they call it the fight wing of the Hall of Fame, you know.
Right. So, and that's what I'm saying. You know, they got a pretty decent definition of it. But just because it's considered in the Hall of Fame, you know, people give them so much crap over it.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the featured fight of the night. You think this fight happens again, D Rose?
I think so.
All right, we got Bongamon Cyril Gane, 12-2 overall, 34 years old, 6'4" and an 81-inch reach. Alexander Drago Volkov, 38-10 overall, 36 years old, 6'7" and an 80-inch reach. And this is a rematch. Last time Cyril Gane won this fight via decision, but God, this shit was boring as hell. Not even gonna front you guys. That shit, you could have took a nap in and not missed anything, because it was like Volkov was kind of scared to engage. It's like he didn't have the size to do anything to Cyril Gane, so he was at the end of Cyril Gane's range and just getting picked and poked at. Now, on the other hand, we are a couple years later, and Alexander Volkov has put on a decent amount of size, and that Sergey Pavlovich fight, dude, made me be like, oh shit, Alexander Volkov is now a problem. I don't know if he becomes champion just because Tom Aspinall is a fucking monster, but I think Volkov has the tools to beat Cyril Gane this weekend. And I want to say this. I know Cyril Gane refuses to train wrestling and has not gotten any better in any of his fights. So I think Volkov is able to take him down, man. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Volkov submitted Cyril Gane this weekend. Anyway, give me Alexander Volkov to win this fight. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah. I was, this should be a really good fight, and I do think this fight happens. The only reason why I think it happens is because there's a very good chance that the winner of this fight could, because I do think there's a chance that John Jones is going to retire. Yeah, pretty much so. But no, I think I think John Jones retires. Aspinall continues with the title. I think the winner of this fight could potentially fight for the title. And I know Cyril Gane is making comments about how him and Aspinall were supposed to fight last year, or it was early this year, or something like that. And he's eyeing to fight Tom Aspinall next year after he beats Volkov. So I think both of them are going to definitely make sure this fight happens. For me, I think Cyril Gane, you can say that his last fight was against Sergey Spivak, but when you ask what was Cyril Gane's last fight, people will say John Jones, because that's just the lasting image that you have in your head, which is
with him in there
dominated.
like, what happened? Sitting on the ground with his eyes big as shit, like, what just happened?
Yeah, him and DC both, because neither one, and myself included, because I didn't know what happened either. I literally asked the same thing DC asked, was like, what happened? Because I didn't even see what he tapped to. But Cyril Gane just got absolutely dominated in that fight. Again, he had the Sergey Spivak bounce back, but I don't even care about that fight, because Sergey Spivak, I knew he didn't have a chance. But Alexander Volkov, as you said, he's been on a run as of late. He probably added about, I'm gonna say probably about at least about 10, 15 pounds of muscle since their last fight. And he's having to cut weight to get to 265 now, so it looks good for him. And man, what I really want to see is that he's been using his wrestling a lot more in his fights. Is he going to be able to actually take Cyril Gane down? Because I think if he can take Cyril Gane down, that's really where Volkov is going to be able to shine. And he's got a little bit more of that dog mentality in him too, to where I think he can step through shots to find his range against Cyril Gane. So I like Volkov as the dog here, man. Cyril Gane, again, clean striker on the feet. His technique is beautiful. But just in terms of fight IQ and sometimes some of the things that he does, sometimes he just makes some boneheaded decisions every now and then, man. And I think Volkov, just experienced as he is, I think he take advantage of that, and he's getting better with each fight, in my opinion. So give me Volkov as a dog.
So just like the trajectory of kind of how the fighters have been fighting, like you see, fucking Cyril Gane was good at first, and then he's just kind of like leveled off, hasn't gotten any better. As where fucking Volkov, you've seen him steadily improve ever since kind of the Derrick Lewis knockout, man. Like he's kind of gotten better, dude. So, and then
But really,
after
I'll
that-
say since I think it was since that Curtis Blades loss. I think
and
really
then
since that Curtis Blades loss, he put on that
and
weight.
then and then after the Cyril Gane fight, I think is when he started to put on the weight. Is when like the one fight that he was like, I can't get in because these dudes are too big. So I think that's the fight that I was like, dude's fucking Cyril Gane. If you're not big enough to do anything to him, then he's just gonna win. And that's kind of how it is. If you're not big enough to hurt him or get him down, then he's probably just gonna win. I just think Volkov's maybe put on enough size now to do what he needs to do. So I'm glad me and you are both on Alexander Volkov, which means he's probably going to lose. So we'll move on to the co-main event. We've got Shavkat Nomad Rachmanov taking Ian the Future Machado Gary. Shavkat is 18-0. Ian Gary is 15-0. Shavkat, 30 years old, 6'1", and a 77-inch reach. That's a lie, though. He is taller than 6'1", dude. That's bullshit. Ian Gary, 15-0, 27 years old, 6'3", and a 74-inch reach. I don't know if me and you are going to be split here or not, D-Rose, but I'll say it like this. Ian Gary's definitely the better striker of the two. But what gets me is I've seen Ian Gary get held up against the fence from time to time. And when Shavkat does that to people, they don't move, and then they eat a bunch of fucking knees. And then sometimes he just goes around back like the Jeff Neal fight and chokes you out like that. I think if at any point, D-Rose, this fight ends up on the cage, it's going to be a sketchy situation because Shavkat can reverse him and pin Ian Gary up against that cage. And if Ian Gary shoots, I think Shavkat wraps up a neck and chokes out Ian Gary, dude. Someone's got to lose here. Both fighters are undefeated. Someone's going to be wrong somewhere. We can't be right all the time. But give me Shavkat Rachmanov to win this fight. You ready for this? Via third round submission, because that's what he does.
Yeah. Hey, I have cashed many and plenty. I'm telling you, literally, like his last 4-5 fights, I've cashed on his fights. You know, second, third round. Now Neil Magny, I did first or second round, and I snuck that second round in there by just a little bit because it was like 9 seconds left there in the second round. Yeah, most of the fights of his, I've always gone second, third round submission for the most part and gotten it, or just gotten some type of finish. KO, TKO decision, and he's always came through. So, and Shavkat, we know the absolute dog that he is. 18-0, 18 finishes. Ian Gary, 15-0. But I think he's 8-0 in the UFC, so really good record. They both train together, so they're both going to know each other. Man, what I want to see is man, Shavkat gets hit in some of his fights, man. He really does. Jeff Neal absolutely tagged him in a bunch of exchanges that they had, and he could not. Now, this is going to be difference in the athleticism between, Jeff Neal and Ian, as you would like to say, McGarry Chotto. I think the difference would be, Jeff Neal's a very good athlete. I don't know if Ian Gary is quite that athlete. But I remember when Shavkat hurt Jeff Neal and he still couldn't take Jeff Neal down versus where Ian Gary, I think if he's hurt, there could be a very good chance he could get taken down. But give me Ian Gary, man. I don't know. I'm feeling the dog. I like the counter striking. Again, Shavkat gets hit in a lot of his fights. You can go back on some of his highlight reels, and there's actually, I saw a guy make like a little compilation video, and it wasn't a whole bunch, but it's showing where Shavkat does get hit a lot. And if there's somebody who you don't want to get hit a lot against, is a sharp counter striker like Ian Gary, who I think if you're going to give him enough opportunities like that, he's going to find the mark. Give me Ian Gary here, man. And I'm going to say he hurts Shavkat enough. It's going to be a decision, but I think it's going to be enough to where he's going to hurt Shavkat enough to where he backs him up enough to where it ends up being a decision for Ian Gary. Let's go like 48-47.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate your picking for the reason of it's not going to be in the pick champ, because I don't hate Ian Gary. He's for sure a good fighter. Everyone's like, cuck this, cuck that don't have anything to do with how good of a fighter he is. One thing I do kind of I do have an opinion on is him being on a vegan diet, dude. It doesn't work, dude. If you're an athlete, dude, you need to be fueling your body like an athlete and not be on a vegan diet. So I think, dude, if I wouldn't have seen that, then I would have been more split and I would have just been like, dude, I'll take the dog money. But vegan diet, I'll pass on that. Yeah.
Charles Oliveira's in his corner though. So that's gotta give him a boost, right? Like, I mean,
yeah. I know. Who knows, dude? As I said, that one ain't gonna be for the pick champ because I mean Ian Gary's good, dude. Both fighters are good. They're both undefeated. So who knows who wins that one? And I'm a fan of that co-main event, probably more than this main event, to be honest. But let's talk about it. We've got the main event of the evening. If y'all haven't already, if you're still here with us, please do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up button if y'all don't mind. So let's get into it. Alexandre, the Cannibal Pantoja, taking on Kai Asakura, UFC newcomer, former Ryzen double champion. So the Cannibal, Alexandre Pantoja, is 28-5 overall, 34 years old, 5'5" and a 68-inch reach, while Kai Asakura, 21-4 overall, 31 years old, 5'8". We ain't got a reach for him, at least not on Tapology. But, that's really not important, to be honest. I've said this, I think, a lot of times that Alexandre's fault, D-Rose, and that is basically if Hamzat was at 125 pounds and had the gas tank to go all 5 rounds, he would be Alexandre Pantoja because he comes out, dude, he comes out like Hamzat does, and he just doesn't stop. And he gets tired, but he just fights through it. Dude, by the end of the 3rd round, he is dead tired, dude. His hands are hanging, mouth is open, but he's still throwing like with all of his power, dude. He's a dog, and the Cannibal is a perfect name for him, dude. He's cleared out this division already, and he's only had a couple title fights. The thing is he beat everyone to get to the title, and there's no one left for him to even fight. So I said this when he got the championship. This guy will be champion for a while because he's already beat everyone else that is in the top 5, and there's no one to challenge him. His last fight was the number 10th ranked Steve Erceg. Now they're signing someone to come in and fight him outside the UFC. I have to pick Pantoja because I know he's UFC level. I know how good he is, and he's a fucking dog. And if you ask me, you can't convince me that Kai Asakura is not going to get disqualified this weekend. Just because in every one of his highlights, he's fucking just kneeing the shit out of someone while they're on the ground, dude. And do you think that's a hard habit to like kill, D-Rose? Like, I mean, if it's ingrained in how you fight, you're kneeing people while you have their arms pinned on the ground. Even if it's one time, dude, that's at least a point taken away. So I need to see Kai Asakura fight in the UFC. If he wins like this weekend against Alexandre Pantoja, I will gladly be like, hey, I was wrong. Kai Asakura is way better than what I expected. But until I see him against UFC level competition, I got to pick Alexandre Pantoja to win this fight. And there are going to be a few people say he has. He fought Manel Cap. Yeah, and he won one and lost one. If this was the second fight, funny, odd little stat. Anytime Kai Asakura fights a guy 2 times, he loses that second fight. I think he's had 3 rematches and lost every single one of the rematch after winning the first fight. So just odd. So if this fight happens again, max bet Alexandre Pantoja. But with that being said, I have to go Alexandre Pantoja to win this fight. Let's go via 4th round submission. And two other things, Kai Asakura has never fought in a cage before. It's always been in a ring against a lot of people wearing shoes like Manel Kape. And then second of all, Kai Asakura has never fought out of Asia before either. So he's going to be making the trip to the U.S. fighting in Vegas for the first time as well. All right, D-Rose, I'm picking Alexandre Pantoja. Who are you picking, man?
Yeah, no, and those are some very quality points, especially in the point of Kai Asakura that you had you had brought up there in terms of the rematches and all that good stuff as well. And if you look at it as well, like Kai Asakura is going to have the size advantage, but man, so he fought at 135 for the last couple of years. And so he hasn't fought at 125, and I think they said it was like 4 or 5 years.
Like at least 3.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason why I remember it was like 4 or 5 because it was a reporter who asked Dana White after the most recent pay-per-view press conference about having concerns for Kai Asakura making weight. And Dana was basically like, oh, their hydration system, blah, blah, blah. They make sure the fighters fight a weight class up, but they get with our guys, and we know what we're doing here. One, I wonder if this weight cut is even going to be able to happen. Like, is he going to actually be able to cut weight, or are they going to have to call on Josh Van or Cody Durden to come fight Alexander Pantoja? Because that's the only flyweight that's within the vicinity who's been training, who can actually be ready for a championship fight. Or is Kai Asakura just going to miss? I wonder
if Roy Bow's going to be the backup.
I don't know. That I haven't heard anything about a backup yet.
Yeah,
and they haven't made any mention. They haven't made any mention of a backup yet. So I don't know. Maybe they just have that much faith in Kai Asakura. But I'm wanting to see if that's going to have some type of effect, whether the fight even happens, and if it does, how much is that actually going to affect Kai Asakura going in there? Yeah, I think Kai Asakura, I've seen, some highlights from him. He's got pretty good takedown defense. He's got some nasty knees up the middle. So if Pantoja isn't careful, he can't step into one of those big knees. But another stat as well, again, everybody always has their time. But Alexander Pantoja has not been finished as a pro, and that's fighting a lot of tough guys. He went through tough,
Figgy.
Obviously,
he's the only guy to drop him. Figgy dropped him. And that's it.
Exactly. Again, Figgy, we understand the power. That dude is just an absolute animal. And Figgy still couldn't finish Alex. And I know he beat Alexander Pantoja, but he couldn't finish him. And I just think Pantoja's just got that dog that you can't make him quit. And I think once it gets into those later rounds, once Kai Asakura, he's got good striking. I think he can land clean, but once he realizes that he's not going to get Pantoja out of there easily, I think Pantoja takes him into the deep waters later on into the fight. I'm with you as well as far as a late submission. Maybe like I think that you can maybe play a prop like a round 3, 4, or 5 submission for Alexander Pantoja. I think I might play that straight just to see what it looks like. But I like Pantoja to get the submission as well.
Fair enough. Me and you are on the same in the main event, man. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different fights. So we are tossing out Shavkat versus Ian Gary and Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Toss those two out, which means the 5 different picks for this card will be Max Griffin versus Mike Chiesa, where I am on Max Griffin. You are on Mike Chiesa. Hope you feel good about that one. We got custom-made Cody Durden versus Josh Van, where I am on Cody Durden, D Rose on Josh Van. We've got Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar Evloev, where I'm on a big dog in Aljamain Sterling, and D Rose is on the pretty solid favorite in Movsar. It's okay. Another one that why'd I pick this one, dude? I'm on Vicente Luque. D Rose is on Themba Garimbo. It is what it is, man. We got dude. Why do I pick all the dogs? I'm on the dog. I'm the one.
You picked some ugly dogs too.
I know.
You picked some ugly dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm trying to get this end of the year big dub here. Last fight is Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes, where I am on Anthony Smith and D Rose on Dominic Reyes. So one more time, Max Griffin, Mike Chiesa.
Well, Ian Gary and Art. You're not gonna put Ian Gary and
No, that's all 5 right there. No.
Right.
We had 7 different ones, so that's the 5. Max Griffin, Mike Chiesa, Cody Durden, Josh Van, Aljo Movsar, Luque Themba Garimbo, and Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes.
Dude,
gonna be a sketchy one. You gotta
take.
Fuck off, D Rose. Fuck off, D Rose.
You gotta put Ian Gary and Shavkat in there over one of those.
Nope. I'm
that's rough.
Biscuit for the biscuit. I'm taking nothing but dogs, baby.
That's a rough one, man. Hey, Mike Chiesa is still technically a dog, but whew, you took some rough dogs.
I'm
there,
feeling
man.
it.
I will
feeling
say,
it. Can we get that?
I'm rooting for Luke and Aljo. So, just in terms of who
All
I'm
right,
rooting for, I am rooting for them.
you've convinced me, D-Rose. I'm taking out Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes, and Shavkat. Ian Gary's going in there.
Yeah, 'cause
But
I'm like, dude, you cannot leave.
but only because
Luke
I
and
remember
Anthony Smith
saying
there.
specifically, I don't care who wins, Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. I'm like,
And
why do I
that you
wanna
didn't
put
want to
that
put that in the picture.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
You
right.
said you didn't want to put it in there, and then you
Yeah.
went to put it in there. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Uh,
I'm trying to
but-
save you here.
Yeah, Shavkat versus Ian Gary. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's gonna be a sketchy fight. But backup is what should backup be? Anders Weidman. I'll let you pick the backup. You want backup to be Anders Weidman or Smith Reyes?
Let's do Anders Weidman. That could be the backup.
All right.
Because it's an even money fight. So, and I think honestly the fight could play out that way as well. So,
All right. So one more time. Sorry, you guys. 5 different fights: Max Griffin, Mike Chiesa, Cody Durden, Josh Van, Aljo Mavsar, Luke Thimagarimbo, and Shavkat versus Ian Gary. I'm on Shavkat. D Rose is on Ian Gary, and our backup Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. If that fight even happens, our backup might get canceled.
I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them ended up kind of falling off the wayside at this point with the way some of these fight cards have been going.
Antoine will be here next week. I'll be back on Tuesday, so me and D-Rose will be here next week doing the last card of the year breakdown, and then we'll probably come back one more time after, right, to like just do end of the year shit.
End of the year wrap up stuff.
Yeah, cool. So we got 2 more
fight
podcasts.
Fight of the year, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we got 2 more podcasts, so we'll look at that, and then for 311, I think we gotta. To be honest, I gotta go to bed. I've been up since about 6 o'clock this morning, and I got a flight tomorrow. I gotta.
To be fair, we did scan over a lot of the fight announcement that we did earlier. Was a lot of on 311.
Those were a lot on 311. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So with that being said, we appreciate you for stopping by here, hanging out with us during the night. We've been here for 2 hours straight. So if y'all haven't already, please do us a favor. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and hit that thumbs up button for your boys. But yeah, that's going to be all from us here this time. We will catch you guys right back here live here next week, 8:30 p.m. East Coast time. I'm giving you our opinions on everything that happened this weekend and news and announcements, and then looking forward to the last fight card of the year. It's going to be in Tampa, and it's going to be a banger, dude. So, hopefully fun fight. I appreciate all of you guys' kind words telling me to have a safe trip. And Dave saying keep them to the light, D-Rose. All right.
Yeah.
With that being
Always
said,
flossing.
one more time, we appreciate you guys. And all of you out there, stay safe. If you're traveling, doing anything this weekend, just stay safe and enjoy the fights this weekend. If you're betting, don't be betting more than you can afford to lose, because at the end of the day, it's a fist fight. So with that being said, me and D-Rose will catch you guys next week. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.